Greeting my beloved people, peace. We will be speaking with you for a few moments this evening on who should get the so called black vote. Who should get the so called black vote? Seemed like a pretty easy question, yet I believe it is also difficult, especially when dealing with a people who are new to intelligently voting. For the most part, in the past, we have emotionally been tied to the Democratic Party. I remember when I was much younger, say in my teenage years, I remember that my family, in particular, the patriarch of the family, was a diehard Republican. And as I got older, I understood our patriarch positioning in voting Republican because that was how the majority of black people voted back in the day. I believe it had much to do with President Abraham Lincoln and his alleged, well, his freeing of the slaves. He was a Republican, I do believe. At some point, our voting as a community, as a so called black American, switched over to the Democratic Party. And I do believe that it was an emotional stance that we as a community took. And since that major switch, we have been, for the most part, diehard Democrats. I don't believe that it was an intellectual stance that we took, but more so an emotional one. I know it had much to do with the passage of civil rights, uh, and I could understand that particular switch at that time. But as we mature more politically, I think that we have to stop making emotional decisions. The decisions that we make have to be based on, to my understanding, what is it that any particular party As a matter of fact, I even question whether we should be committed to any party. I believe that it might behoove us to put together our agenda, what it is that we, as so called Black people in America, want politically. And then once we decide what it is that we want politically, then we present our political concerns to all parties. And get feedback from them, because nobody gets everything that they ask for. But I believe that we have to make a presentation to all parties and have a checklist. Candidate X and Y. I don't know if we have a Z, because we pretty much have a two-party system. Of late, we've had people toying around with the idea of an independent or Green Party. But I strongly suggest that we as Black people, so-called Black people here in America, that we intelligently present to whatever parties there are what our particular concerns are, what it is that we want, and see which candidate, irregardless of what party they belong to, would be willing to accommodate us to whatever degree. And once we get back that feedback, then we make an intelligently informed decision. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Democrat. I don't care if they are racist overtly, or I don't care if they're closet racist, because you only have those two. But what is it that we are going to get for our vote? That's the question. And I don't care how big a smile they have. If it doesn't add up on our list, we vote for who is going to give us more. Now, I know that here in the year 2020, for all intents purposes, we have two candidates. That would be our present President Donald Trump and our ex-Vice President Joe Biden. We as so-called Black people need to put together our agenda. I really could care less about the agenda that they give us. We need to put together our own agenda and question both candidates, not one of them. Make the presentation to President Trump and Vice President Biden and see what is it that they are willing to give for our vote. This is nothing emotional. This is business. We shouldn't make emotional decisions. I don't give a damn who we like. It is who is willing to give us something. President Trump have to know that it's not sufficient in 2020 to ask his famous question, what do we have to lose? Vice President Biden can't rely on the fact that the masses of people don't like President Trump. So therefore, he has our vote. And if we give him that vote without intelligently presenting to President Trump to see what it is that he is willing to give for our vote, we are voting emotionally. You cannot win, Black people, voting emotionally. We can't vote for the proverbial less of the two evils. We have to ask the question to both parties, both candidates, what is it that you are willing to give Black America for our votes? I don't care if we don't like President Trump. I don't care if we believe that President Trump is a racist. Hell, man, everybody that we have voted for are racist. It's just that this man is bold enough to let you know outright. But the other one is a closet racist. Okay. I know that, hey, I am going to get a racist no matter who I vote for. But there's another question. Mr. Racist, what is it that you are willing to give for my Black vote? Over the past year, 2 years, there's been a very interesting term that has been floating in the public, and that is quid pro quo. What is it that you are willing to give me? President Trump, representative, got on public television and say, we do it all the time, quid pro quo. What's the matter with that? So I'm saying, Black America, start asking, what are you going to give for my vote? And whoever offers the most, that's who you vote for. But you can't find out who's going to give you the most if you don't make the same presentation to both candidates. Start off with a list. And I think that the most prevalent question, the most piercing question to ask both candidates is, if you are sitting in the Oval Office as President of the United States and a bill comes across your desk to sign to give indigenous ex-slaves, so-called Black people, reparations, would you sign it or not? If that individual answers to the negative, no, I would not sign it. Why? that should be top of the list because we've had presidents in the past all with their black agenda. Which is basically giving us nothing. Oh, we're going to give something to the black colleges, and we're going to give so much money to that. Only so many black people have access to that. So is that really helping us as a people? It helps individuals, but does it help us as a people? Because our people, we've seen from with historical data, they go to school, they get their education, and their asses are off to the white community. They don't bring that higher learning back to us within the black community. They desert us. So how are we as a community benefiting from you donating money to those schools? Check. But reparation is something that's given to the whole people. And I believe that it would be a question that we should insist is not up for negotiation. Because to understand something, dear people, 9 times out of 10, all that other little stuff, we're going to get anyway. Just from so called political correctness. But we need someone that is going to say, hey, look, we recognize that we have done you wrong. And that I'm going to do everything within my power. If that bill crossed my desk, I will sign it. Get them on record. I think it is a huge mistake to let candidate Vice President Joe Biden know that no matter what the fuck he does, what he says, he get our vote. That's weakness. I would rather walk away from the table with nothing than to show that type of weakness politically. Oh, I understand. Our people went through so much to get us to vote. And for us not to vote would be a slap in their face. I'm not suggesting not to vote. But I am saying that we should be willing to not to vote for president of the United States. Because my question to you is the same question that President Trump asked us, then candidate Trump asked us, what do you got to lose? What do we got to lose by walking away with our dignity? That will let them know whoever runs the next time around that you have to seriously consider the black vote. Vote on the under voting thing. You don't have to vote for president. If we haven't learned anything, it's over the past few elections, starting back from uh, Vice President Gore, who won the popular vote, but won the electoral college. And by him winning the electoral college, by him losing it, he lost the election. The same thing with Hillary Clinton. So what's the big deal? We get Satan or Lucifer. Neither one is going to do a damn thing for us anyway. But if we establish that you will not get our vote, it is not something that you are going to automatically get, even if it means keeping that stank ass Trump in office. But we don't know because we haven't presented nothing to President Trump. Let Joe Biden know it is not a freaking given. Let President Trump know, hey, you're in the race, man. Here's our agenda. What will you do? Van Jones, Kim Kardashian, they went to this racist guy with a proposal and got it. What's stopping us from presenting a freaking proposal? You ain't got to like the man. We want quid pro quo. Lyndon Johnson was a racist. Abraham Lincoln was a racist. Donald Trump is a racist. Joe Biden is a racist. Let's see which racist will give us something. Of what we want, not what they want to give us. Black people should make an offer and then make an intelligent decision to vote for this one or that one. But only after you make the presentation and get feedback from both candidates. I would ask President Trump, what do you got to lose by giving us what you want? Hey, look, man, you can only be in office 2 terms. Wouldn't it be nice to win the second term? And go out as a winner as opposed to a loser? What are you willing to give for that? Come on, black people, let's strategize. We may can get more because President Trump wants back in more than you think. Just make the bastard give us something for it. You have more leverage with him than you do Joe Biden. And I believe that we might be able to get more from him than Joe Biden. Am I for Trump? Hell no. I'm for whoever will give us the most. But we don't know what Trump will give us because we ain't asking for a damn thing. And I'm telling you, we're in a unique position to get more from him than we would get from Joe Biden because Joe Biden think he has our vote under wrap. And I think that Donald Trump is a narcissist. He loved himself. He loved himself. He loved himself. And he would be honored to get a second term if we make the proper presentation to him. Like I say, I don't care if we get Lucifer or Satan in office. Doesn't matter to me. Who is willing to give us what we want? And who is willing to give more than the other? How bad do you want it, Mr. President? It's here for you. All you got to do is say yes. Let's be smart. Let's not be emotional. Don't worry about somebody liking you. You ain't got to like me. Just give me more than this pretender who pretends he like me. And you get to walk out of the White House a winner, not a loser. Think about it, people. That's intelligent. You see, Donald Trump gives to the people that he think like him. We're about strategizing. We're not about emotionalism because emotionalism will get us nothing. Think about it. Peace be unto you, my beloved, wonderful black people. I love you more than you could possibly imagine.